Hey everybody, and Tony here with an album review, or technically a recorded performance review of Humperdinck's nsel und Gretel, which was recorded in 1971 but was released by RCA on March 1995 with Kurt Eichhorn on the podium as the conductor, alongside the Münchner Rundfunkorchester and the Tölzer Sängerknaben. And this also comes in two CDs. The first CD containing the first act from the overture all the way up to the 14 Angels pantomime, and the second CD containing the prelude to the second act all the way up to the finale consisting of Peter, Gertrud, Hänsel, Gretel, and the now revived Gingerbread Children. My first experience with this album was when I was in California and I spent my Christmas there alongside my parents and siblings, and we went to Borders, and I saw that particular recording of Hänsel and Gretel, and I knew from the back of my mind that this was going to be a great introduction to the entire opera. And I also knew that this was going to be the recording that I was going to really recommend, especially when it comes to having such great artists like Anna Moffat and Helen Donat, which I will gladly talk about them when I talk about the singers. I have been listening to this particular CD for quite some time, and I've been listening to it on repeat, which really shows the great artistry that all of these singers have. And it was just a great experience, especially when it comes to being fully immersed into the world of Hänsel and Gretel, composed by Engelbert Humperdinck, and not just the evening prayer, but also the 14 Angels pantomime and the witches solo, Hur hop hop hop, and of course the many duets that Hänsel and Gretel have, including Brüderchen komm tanz mit mir, and of course Peter's Rallalalang, and even the Sandman's little aria and the Dewman's little aria. There are just a lot of great moments of music found in this particular opera, and I have to thank this particular recording for introducing me to the world of Humperdinck's Hänsel and Gretel. The overall sound and tracking was really decent all throughout. Sure, there were some problems with the sound in which some of the singers sounded like they were quite distant from the microphone, and it kind of felt a little bit strange to my ears. But the overall sound was really crisp and clean, and it was really well handled, and I really loved how both CDs were tracked, as they managed to be very fluid, and they showed no signs of really chopping up really important stuff, and they didn't feel too long nor too short. They felt like they were just at the right time for each entry, which is something that I'm such a huge fan of. So overall, the sound was really decent, and the tracking was really well done. Not much more to say about that. Now we get to the singers, starting off with Anna Moffat as Hänsel. I adore this soprano so much. Ever since I first heard her, ever since I was 10 years old, singing Sempre Libera from Verdi's La Traviata, and when she released that high E flat, I knew that this was a soprano that I was gladly going to look forward to. And I also found out that she specialized in great roles like Lucia Ashton, Marie from La Fille de Regiment, Rosina from Barbiere di Siviglia, and a lot of other great coloratura soprano roles from the French, Italian, and German repertoire, and even a good amount of lyric soprano roles consisting of Melisande and Mimi. Yes, she did go through a vocal crisis somewhere in the 70s and 80s due to the heavy workload when it came to her singing all of these roles, because she had a very vast range, considering the fact that she also started at a very young age in her 20s and then went on and on and on singing all of these roles, which did take a bit of a toll on her voice until she retired from the stage in 1983, thus devoting her life to teaching. But I could definitely say that her performance as Hänsel was wonderful. And if you ask me, I always prefer it when a lyric soprano sings the role of Hänsel. That's not to say I don't like it when any mezzo sings nsel, because there are actually some mezzos that I absolutely enjoy listening to as nsel, with the likes of Brigitte Fassbender and Frederica von Stade, just to name a few. But when it comes to a lyric soprano performing nsel, all the likes of Elisabeth Grümmer or Zena Jorinats, and even what we had with Anna Moffo, any lyric soprano who sings nsel manages to add in a little bit of that charm and boyishness, which really makes nsel come alive. Because how old is nsel supposed to be? He's barely a tween. I'd say he's about 9 or 10 or 11 years old, and he has to sound young and really vivacious. And when it comes to any lyric soprano singing this role, then she manages to bring out that boyish vivacity and also an innocence that really makes this character come alive, at least in my opinion. And what more can you expect from someone like Anna Moffo? She was able to be such a great vocal actress, which she has always been. With nsel, she was able to give him his boyishness, his rambunctiousness, yet also give him such an angelic sounding voice. Because what more can you expect from someone who has sung roles like Lucia de Lammermoor or even Traviata for quite some time? She had superb musicianship, and it was quite evidenced here in this role, as she was able to sing all of those lines with such vivacity, charm, and beauty that she was able to make nsel come alive as a character. Helen Donat was a very charming Gretel. Thanks to her silvery, light, and breezy voice, she was able to bring the girlishness of Gretel, which should be no surprise, as Madame Donat has specialized in roles like Pamina, Sophie Faninal, Lauretta, Leo, Mimi, and a lot of the other light lyric soprano roles. And she's also established herself all throughout Europe, especially when it comes to opera houses in Germany and Austria and in Europe in general. What I really love about Helen Donat as Gretel is the timbre of her voice. It is light and breezy, very silvery, and she was able to hit that high D with such scintillating power that I was just knocked off the edge of my seat every time she managed to embody this particular role. She was a perfect fit to Gretel. She was charming, girlish, quite inquisitive, and she was able to have a lot of fun with this particular role. You could definitely tell that she had a lot of charm, a lot of heart, and just the right amount of girlishness to make Gretel come alive. And the chemistry that both Moffo and Donat have as the siblings was so palpable through their voices that you really felt like they had a lot of fun with each other. And you could definitely see and feel the joy that these two have when recording those really wonderful roles. And their voices blended wonderfully like two angels. So overall, Anna Moffo as nsel and Helen Donat as Gretel were absolute charmers and were wonderful all throughout. And the grown-ups were wonderfully sung as well. Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau was a charming, lovable, and really likable Peter der Besenbinder. Say what you will about Dietrich Fischer-Dieskau when it comes to his performances in Lieder being very different to that of his performances in opera, and how they tend to be a little bit on the inconsistent side. But with his performance as Peter der Besenbinder, you could definitely feel the joy, charisma, and brilliance that he has in his voice, especially in interpreting as someone as lovable yet quite roguish as Peter der Besenbinder. He had a lot of fun with this particular role, and his great musicianship really shines all throughout, and he showed no signs of tiring. I really love his rendition of his Witch's Tale aria, and you could definitely feel it in his voice that he was going to tell you something really strange yet awfully evil, so you better watch out. he really knows how to color his voice to the best of his abilities, and he was just an absolute vocal actor with this particular role. Charlotte Berthold was a powerful yet very moving Gertrude. What I really love about her voice is that she was able to bring some of the nagging qualities, but also that irritated quality that you get from this particular role, which should come as no surprise as she has done a lot of these lyric and dramatic mezzo roles, with roles like Cherubino and Octavian in her prime, but also leading up to roles like Brangena, Venus, Magdalena, and eventually to the more dramatic soprano roles of Tosca and Salome. One can definitely tell that she has a voice that was so pliable, so versatile, and also very expressive. Yes, it's kind of a shame that she was not as big of a dramatic mezzo as she was, because in this particular recording, that is just how I got introduced to Charlotte Berthold, through her interpretation of Gertrude. Her burnished dramatic mezzo voice, which can also hit the high notes of a soprano, was so well tuned and really mellifluous all throughout, and she had great musicianship, but more than anything, the timbre of her voice was really focused, and you could definitely feel the anguish and that nagging that Gertrude has. She was a very wonderful vocal actress, and one can definitely tell that this is a voice that a lot of people need to listen to. And what Hänsel and Gretel would be complete without a great Knusperhexe? Fortunately, we have a great Knusperhexe in the form of the wonderful, grand, and awesome dramatic mezzo-soprano of all time, Christa Ludwig. My word, did she have a ball with this particular role. She had menace, she had charm, she had hilarity, and she was a very versatile singing actress, as she's always been, especially when it comes to roles like Ortrud, Kondry, Brangena, Venus, Fricka, Waltraute, and even her younger years when she sang roles like Octavian, Clairon, Cherubino, Dorabella, Rosina, Berta, Dimitri from Fedora, and all of these wonderful mezzo roles. And she even sang some dramatic soprano roles like the Fidelio Leonore, the Dyer's Wife from Richard Strauss's Die Frau ohne Schatten, and she even sang the Liebestod and even the immolation scene from Tristan and Götterdämmerung respectively. And what more can you expect from someone as great and grand as Christa Ludwig as the gingerbread witch, or Knusperhexe in German? She was really awesome. She had a great voice that was so versatile, quite steely, but at the same time, it's so focused throughout all the registers, and she was a complete vocal actress. She not only produced the witch's cackles with such aplomb and such fear, yet at the same time such strength and vivacity, but she was also able to make the witch come alive as a character through the power of her voice. One can definitely tell that Christa Ludwig had an absolute ball with this particular character. One can sense the charisma, the charm, and the brilliance that she has with this particular villainess. And she sold it from beginning to end. She was marvelous in whatever scene she appeared in, and I really loved her rendition of Hur Hop Hop Hop. And we even get some charming singing from the likes of Arlene Augur's silvery and quiet Sandman, and Lucia Pop's lively, dainty, and perky Dewman. These two wonderful lyric coloratura sopranos were able to give it their all in these small yet otherwise brilliant roles, and one can sense their brilliance one can sense their great amounts of musicianship, and they were wonderful artists whose voices were not only silvery but also produced really golden tones. So overall, the singing found in this particular album was exceptional. More than exceptional, but also outstanding, especially when you have wonderful singing actors like Moffat, Donat, Fischadiskau, Bertold, Ludwig, Auger, and Pop. One can definitely tell that there is a great amount of artistry found in this particular recording of Hänsel and Gretel, and the conducting done by Kurt Eichhorn was exceptional. The same thing I can say about the Münchner Rundfunkorchester, and of course the angelic singing done by the Tölzer Sängerknaben. So overall, I have to say that this is a must-own if you are a huge fan of Humperdinck's Hänsel and Gretel. And with that said, I give this particular CD a well-deserved 5 out of 5 stars. When you have exceptional artists like Moffat and Donat really giving it their all in these roles, then you know that this is definitely a must-own, especially when you have great artists. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in tomorrow where I count down my most favorite reviewers of all time. And until then, good night, everybody.